If everyone read the same books, power would collapse. That's the truth hidden in plain sight. Most people believe wealth is about money. The rich know it's about perception, about seeing what others don't, about understanding forces that operate quietly beneath society. And that is why there exists a class of books that feel invisible to the masses. Not banned, not hidden, not forbidden. Simply ignored. Ignored because they are uncomfortable. Ignored because they demand responsibility. Ignored because they strip away comforting illusions. The poor don't ignore these books because they are incapable. They ignore them because these books ask a dangerous question. What if the problem isn't the system, but your understanding of it? The rich treat these books like sacred weapons because they sharpen something far more valuable than motivation: judgment. One of the most avoided books is The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. On the surface, it looks philosophical, abstract, heavy. But beneath it lies a devastating insight. Much of human behavior, ambition, greed, cruelty, heroism, power, is driven by fear of mortality. The rich study this not to become cynical, but to become calm. When you understand that many people chase money, dominance, and status to escape existential fear, you stop reacting emotionally. You begin to see through egos, threats, and false confidence. This book turns chaos into clarity. Another weapon most people avoid is seeing like a state. It doesn't read like a bestseller. It reads like a warning. It exposes how large systems simplify reality in order to control it, and how that simplification often destroys what it tries to. Manage agriculture, cities, economies, lives. The poor find it boring. The rich find it liberating. Because once you understand how rigid systems fail, you stop tying your future to them. You build flexibility instead of obedience. Then comes the master's switch. Many dismiss it as history. The rich read it as a pattern manual. This book shows how every major communication technology begins open, then slowly becomes centralized, then controlled. Radio, television, telephone, internet. The lesson is brutal. Freedom is temporary. Those who understand this position themselves early, before gates close. Those who don't are shocked when platforms change rules overnight. This book explains why timing beats talent. Another ignored blade is The True Believer by Eric Hoffer. It dissects mass movements, how individuals surrender identity for belonging, how crowds become emotional weapons, how leaders rise when people feel lost. The poor often reject it because it feels accusatory. The rich study it because it teaches them how societies swing, how narratives spread, and why reason collapses under emotion. This book teaches you when to step away from crowds and when to let them pass. Few books are avoided more quietly than The Structure of Scientific Revolutions. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And what it whispers is dangerous. Progress does not happen gradually. It happens in paradigm breaks. Old systems don't evolve, they collapse. The poor cling to familiar models even when they stop working. The rich watch for cracks. This book trains you to recognize moments when the world is about to turn before headlines catch up. Then there is The Black Swan. Most people misunderstand it. They think it's about rare events. The rich understand it's about fragility. It teaches that the most important events are unpredictable, extreme, and rationalized only after they happen. Those who internalize this stop trusting forecasts. They build lives that survive shocks. They avoid fragile careers, fragile finances, fragile identities. This book teaches you to prepare for surprise, not predict it. Another deeply uncomfortable book is The Elephant in the Brain. It reveals hidden motives behind human behavior, charity, morality, politics, even kindness. Most people reject it because it challenges their self-image. The rich study it because it removes naivete. It teaches how signaling works, how reputation is engineered, how incentives quietly control actions. This book doesn't make you heartless. It makes you aware. And finally, one of the most quietly dangerous books of all, The Art of Not Being Governed. This book explores how people throughout history escaped control, not by rebellion, but by invisibility, mobility, decentralization, and unpredictability. The poor often misread it as rebellion. The rich read it as strategy. They don't seek chaos. They seek optionality, the ability to move, adapt, and choose. When you put these books together, a pattern emerges that is impossible to ignore. The poor avoid books that question authority, ego, morality, systems, and identity. The rich study them to avoid traps, manipulation, emotional blindness, and dependency. These books don't make you rich overnight. They make you dangerous to deceive. And that is why they are ignored. At Sethtra Books, we don't recommend books to feel good for a weekend. We study books that change how you think for a lifetime, because once your perception changes, your decisions change. And when your decisions change, your life follows. If this episode unsettled you, that means it worked. If it challenged you, that means you're growing. Subscribe to Sethtra Books, where books are not comfort. They are clarity. Learn, reflect. Rise, Sethtra Books.